What's up guys, I've already started playing the new format, and so in this video I thought I'd make a tier list on all the new decks in the format. I've got some interesting opinions and I thought I'd love to share them with you guys in a tier list. It's just a prediction, but yeah, so if you enjoy the video, drop a sub, I really appreciate it, but yeah, enjoy the video guys. Alright, so we got the tier list. It doesn't look as nice as I wish it did. We got 9 decks we're going to go through. It looks like that these are going to be mostly the decks that are good. We split the Lost Zone variants into 2 mainly, and then Giratina is kind of its own deck, to be honest. But yeah, 7 real decks plus a new one, Arctina. Maraudon also questionable, but we got Arctina because it did well in Thailand. And then we got Urshifu Intel here as well, because it seems like that deck can keep up at least a little bit. So we're going to start off here with Mew. And I have Mew in the... I have Mew in the second highest tier right now. Mew's really good. Mew hasn't really lost anything. What it feels like it has lost is kind of its matchups. Compared to like, I mean, this format is very reminiscent of Lost Origin, kind of, at least a little bit, not entirely. But yeah, Mew, I don't know. I don't know. Mew's gonna be really good regardless of what happens. So, um, like I think it's worth putting Mew in the second best tier. I think that there are decks better than it right now. We're gonna talk about one of them. I think that the Sky Stone, Lost Zone, there's so many ways to play this deck. It's hard to kind of even lump all just as comfy Sky Stone decks together, right? Because they are so different. Well, at least, I mean, tech cards can be different. And like you can run Galarian Zapdos, like you're running Glowing Zapdos, you're running Raikou, you're running, I don't know, there's so many, you're running Kyogre, like there's so many things you can run with this deck, but the thing that's always around is Drapion Sealstone. So compared to like Mew, for example, feels like Mew isn't quite as good or quite on the level of Comfy Sealstone. In terms of its matchups against everything else, I call it Comfy, it's just Lost Zone, Sealstone. We got Sableye, we have Cram in this deck. Cram mostly, I mean, the Cram is a good card. Very good in Mirror though. Cramrat. And I've seen a lot of lists cutting down to 1, which is like questionable, to be honest. After playing this deck, it feels like you can't play it without 2, but no, I don't know, in my opinion. Yeah. I have been playing a little bit of this format already. I don't know if I definitely didn't say that at the beginning. Don't know if it'll be in the intro, but I have played a bit of this format, and I've tested a lot of like a few decks, and Lost Zone is one of them. And I don't know, Lost Zone feels like it can compete with basically anything. Like you look at these decks down here, Miraidon, Lost Zone's fine against. The Klefki is actually fine for, from what I found, it's actually like okay against. Like Lost Zone's okay against it because the cool thing is. Klefki isn't actually good at dealing with. You just slow powering up Greninja and then just like attacking with Greninja. Like the Regieleki deck is like much better, but like against Gardevoir, for example, they're on Klefki. You just kind of just sit there and attach to your Greninja until you blow up 2 Kelliers and like the game ends. So I don't know. But and like Arano as well, it feels like you can always find a way around the Klefki to get a bunch of prizes most of the time. But Miraidon might actually be the deck that can stand up. I mean, a lot of these decks can stand up to Lost Zone. Like for example, Arctina, if they're not running Galarian Zapdos, it's pretty hard to win. For the Lost Zone side, and even if they are, it's still winnable. You have Judge Path. Judge Path very strong against them. And a deck that should have a good matchup, or at least has for a part of the format, is Urshifu Inteleon, part of the format in Japan, and might for a part of our format as well. The issue with this deck is the Raikou Sealstone is very strong against them. If you go boss Raikou Sealstone Inteleon, like I mean, what's the Urshi Inteleon gonna do? Even though they have like their Yoga Loop, and that's like the concept of this deck, right? You Intel a lot, you Yoga Loop, their Manaphy, you Urshifu, take 3 prize, whatever. It's pretty cool. And then you have a bunch of damage and a bunch of ways to do things after that, and you have things with a bunch of health and yeah, deck is pretty cool, but yeah, there are issues with like yeah, Raikou Sealstone, and then you can just try and take 2 prizes in one way or another. There'll usually be some way for you to do that as the Lost Zone. And like for example against Arctina, I mean you can do the same thing, but it's kind of not as good. It's I don't know. It feels because they can just blow you up and they do so much damage. You can't just heal through everything, and like I mean, it's kind of tough. So I do think that Urshifu and Talion has a place in this format. But the thing is, also like Guardy isn't great. I mean, Guardy's okay actually. Guardy is okay from what I can tell of Urshifu. Also, not the most consistent deck ever. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if I'll put any decks in D actually. Urshifu is probably the worst deck on this tier list. No, it's not. Right, we're coming up on the worst deck. Comfy Radiant Zard. So if you look at our decks here, we have Mew Genesect, we have Lugia, we have Arceus, we have like all these decks, in my opinion, would rather play against a deck with Charizard in it than a deck with Greninja in it. Um, like the Mirror would rather be playing against a deck with Radiant Charizard in it, even though this deck can play like vacuums and be more consistent, get to Sableye early or whatever. Nobody cares. Um, like not having Greninja is such a big deal. Like not having to bench Manaphy, like you see the one Fire Energy, like well, guess I'm not benching Manaphy this game. So you get the extra board space, and then like they can't double prize you. And I mean, I just don't think this deck is as good as other decks. It might be better against Lugia. Might stand a chance into a lot of these matchups, but like Arctina is just gonna path you. I don't know. I don't really. It's just gonna path judge, path rocks you. It's not really that great in the late game. So I don't know. I don't really like Radiant Charizard right now. I've thought about this a decent amount. If Radiant Charizard actually works in this format, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's there. I don't think it's the just doesn't have the power level. I don't think. I think it's just weaker than the Mirage Gate decks. And you can't. I mean, yeah, you can't just be weaker, even though it is more consistent. But it's not even that much more consistent, to be honest. Because the main consistency diff, like issue, to be honest, isn't like just the Lost Zone ramp. It's the turn one setups. So like, I mean, all the other decks are like almost the same at setting up turn one. It's like maybe you run an extra nest ball or two, like cool man. You have an extra nest ball. It's like not that big of a deal. That goes here. This one goes here, I think. I don't know. I think Urshifu is a better deck. I think Urshifu also beats is gonna have a really good shot against Radiant Charizard. Well, probably should just beat it to be honest. So I guess that kind of goes into it as well. Not too much actually. It should just be how it is against other decks. And like this deck, even if you're running one Drapion, you're not just auto winning Mew. You need to run like two, because like you can't just rely on cross switcher Radiant side when you're getting like pathed and judged and stuff. I don't know. You're getting path roxed, Roxanne. It's just not there yet. Lugia. Okay, I have a specific opinion on Lugia. So I feel like these are sort of the decks. I don't know. I have a folder on my computer called Lugia is gambling, because it's actually just gambling playing this deck. You brick like every 2 games, I swear. You just like hit the mid game. Oh, cool. My hand has no urns in it. I attack with Stun Journal last turn. Guess I'll just lose the game. Like I don't know. Lugia just feels like a joke sometimes, and like the fact that you can't just like attack with Lugia into a lot of matchups, you can't just sit there punching because you're gonna lose. It's like whatever. This Giratina deck's running Temple to deal with the V-Guard energy, which is just so questionable. I don't know. I don't really like Lugia. I don't think it beats anything. You run Drapion for the Mew matchup because it's so bad. Like, I mean, it kind of just says enough. You shouldn't have to run Drapion in Lugia. It's just not. I don't know. It just doesn't really feel right. I guess the issue is you can never kill the active, so you have to always go around if you don't run Drapion, so you're just not beating Mew. But I mean, if the power level isn't there to beat Mew, the power level isn't there to beat anything, I don't think. Because Mew is just the most consistent deck, or maybe not the most consistent deck, but more consistent than Lugia for sure. So I'll put it. It's still a very real deck. I feel like these decks aren't really real. I feel like these decks are going to get outshone in the meta really early. But Lugia, I don't think will have that issue. I think Lugia is going to be easily able to compete with the rest of these decks. Or not, actually not easy. It'll be able to compete with the rest of these decks, but until we get like non-single strike, the like jet energy, so we can use the colorless version, don't think Lugia is gonna be quite there. And like you just get games where you discard single strike energies and don't get the urn. I mean, there's just I don't know, so many issues with this deck, in my opinion. It might be better than I think, but for now, I don't think Lugia is there. Doesn't feel like it's there. I feel like I can consistently beat it with a lot of these other decks at the top here. So Giratina, Lost Zone. I mean, I think this. I mean, it's between these two decks for the best deck in format, in my opinion. The Sky Stone deck. I feel like there's a chance the Sky Stone deck flops. But I don't think Tina will flop. I don't think in the end Tina will be like outside of the top two, top three decks in format regardless. Tina feels so strong, and like I don't know. If you look at all these other decks, right? I mean, Mew doesn't want to deal with Tina. That you put one Drapion in your Tina deck and it's over for me. You can't do anything. Um, like they just go, well, I'll Drapion, bench my Giratina Mirage Gate to it, and then draw their, um, then they just draw their V Star off the Roxanne you played on them, and you lose the game even though you're up three prizes. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, and then like this, the most contestable thing for Giratina right now is that it kind of has to find a solution to this mirror, um, because this deck gets around, the normal Lost Zone deck gets around Clara, but Giratina does not. Well, I mean, it can run Clara, and it sometimes does, to be honest. But like, you have to make cuts if you're on Clara, so then you're not running second Sableye. So like, the Clara is basically just getting you a Sableye. Um, like, it can get mana feedback, but so like I feel like you have to solve the solution to this format is just solving this mirror and then playing the the deck that like can roll the mirror. But I don't know how to do it yet. I don't know how this mirror is solved, and I think over the format we'll work out how it's solved. Once we work out how it's solved, then we'll know which of these decks are the best second format. Unless the Sky Soulstone Comfy deck is just not as good as it seems, and just has poor matchups into like these other decks that we're going to talk about that it doesn't have solution to. It kind of depends on what happens with Sky Soulstone Comfy because it's kind of hard to tell what'll happen if the deck will actually be good enough. But now we go on to Arceus. Um, like I actually really like Arctina. I played a decent amount of it. Like I don't know, you kind of sit there and path judge and like ball out. I mean, you don't even have to path judge. Like these attackers are just good attackers, and like yeah, Tina doesn't like Judge. Mew doesn't like Drapion. I mean, I think the Mew matchup's bad, but Tina, even though it seems like on paper it'd be a really bad matchup, like you have V-God Energy Judge, which is pretty good. Like they have to find the temple, which they only play one of. I mean, it's pretty hard for them to do that. So like, I think that Octana can actually survive even in a Lost Zone Tina dominated format, and it has a lot of advantages. It's more consistent, in my opinion, at least. Like you don't need as much. You have Starbirth's really good. Um, and if a comfy if a skill Sky Zone isn't prepared for you not running Zap, they can easily get run over. I mean, sometimes they have plays they can make, but I mean, you can easily just get into games where they can't force like taking six prizes on two Vs with the Sky Seal Stone. You just have a lot of options, and it's kind of hard for them to deal with a lot of the things you can do as the Octina. I think Octina will be good. I think it'll be a staple of this format. It looks like the Thailand event, like I mean, it did really well, and I kind of think it's here to stay. And I think at the very least it'll be an Arceus deck, which is really good. Um, Yeah, and like I don't know, Arceus feels like it's favored into Lugia as well, which it really shouldn't be. It's basically the reason that Arceus isn't great in the current format is because, I mean, it is good actually. It's good with Duraludon, but the Arc part of the deck isn't good. It's the Duraludon part that's good, and the reason right now is because it can't be Lugia, but like Arcgudra or something like that. Can't be Lugia, but Arctina feels like but in the new format, Lugia doesn't feel as good. So like playing a deck like Arctina actually seems reasonable. I think you can beat Lugia. I think you can beat these last two decks as well. Gardevoir. Gardevoir, I don't know. I don't. My opinion is it definitely won't be an S tier deck. I think it's an A tier deck. And if we're gonna rank these, I think Mew is top of this, then this, then this. But I mean, the thing is with Gardevoir is it feels like there's so many things that can go wrong. Like I mean, firstly, you're passing unless you hit like either turn two Candy Guardi or like even no Zacian. Like Zacian attach. Like I mean, attach ability, attach. We're not doing anything on the first two turns of the game. They give so much liberty to other decks. Like I mean, it gives so many options to like Lost Zone to just basically run you over in a lot of games. So like even though you actually have this crazy power spike, where it actually feels like this is just the strongest deck to ever exist, the fact that you got to get there and then like sometimes you have to deal with a Giratina from this Giratina, or you have to deal with like a Drapion. Like I mean, there's just so many things that can go wrong as Guardi. So even though I feel like Guardi might have the highest power level in this format, it's kind of hard to tell between Giratina and Gardevoir probably. But Gardevoir might have the highest power level in this format. I mean, it just does so much damage. The Gardevoir, the basic Gardevoir, baby Gardevoir has a lot of health. You can jelly it and then heal all of it. Like, I mean, this deck is just really strong. But being behind, having to come back, and like you just have so many things that can go wrong. And like even if you get your Roxanne off or your Judge off, whatever, with like a strong power play, I mean, there's always ways to. It feels like there's always ways for your opponents to get back into the game, and like. I mean, it is consistent though. I do like the consistency of God of War, but maybe not consistent at doing the right things. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's not as strong as I'm giving it credit for, just because it is like going behind every game. But I mean, the deck is high power, and the card's obviously built to be good. But I don't know if it quite gets there in this format. Too fast, I think. The format is for God of War to exist, but it will no to be the best deck in format. It'll exist and it'll be good. I think I definitely pick God of War over Lugia right now. So I like where I have this tier list. Miraidon, it's in Lugia. It's literally the same issue as Lugia. I mean, it's a strong deck. I mean, it has some cool tools. Regieleki Klefki is the best way to play Klefki, and it actually is decent. It's pretty strong, but it doesn't have a draw engine. It does pile sometimes, from what I've heard. I haven't played a lot of Miraidon myself, but I feel like this deck is gonna be more or less a pile. Um, none of this is like set in stone, like guaranteed. This is how the format will turn out. I'm just making a guess in the beginning of the format and making some opinions, and seeing how it goes. But yeah, this this deck will be good. Like I mean, you have after everything, but like Giratina just being able to Biss Seeking your face. I don't think the Giratina matchup's gonna be very good. I don't think the Mew matchup's gonna be very good. Like I don't know. I just don't think a lot of these matchups are gonna be very good, and I don't think that this deck will. Nah, the matchups might be okay, but it's just inconsistent. I think it's gonna pile a lot, and having to rely on an electricity generator isn't really ideal. Like you're not even running 1 in 5 cards in your. You're barely running 1 in 5 cards of your deck being energy. Like you're on the dot with 12 energies. Maybe you're on 13, 14, but you're gonna be missing gens sometimes, and I don't know if this deck can survive if you miss gens. Maybe you can in some matchups, but probably not others. Like Mew, for example, you probably got to be hitting those. Um, but what do I know? And so let me know if you have any different opinions in the comments. I would love to hear them. That'll be it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoy. Just quick tier list of the 9 best decks in format, in my opinion. Gonna try and do this every format, and we'll see how right we are. Last time I was very wrong. I had Palkia in S tier, and it was not S tier at all. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Got some cool things coming. So, yeah, see you guys.